Welcome back to the Real Estate Rockstars podcast. Today's show is for our Instagram lovers out there, especially if you feel like you're not getting the traction that you want to see or have considered quitting. Today's guest is Alyssa Curnutt out of Spokane, Washington. And Alyssa has been an agent for 7 years, but she had a much slower start than a lot of our guests, much slower. And it wasn't until about a year and a half ago that she really fell into her niche, which is hyper-local Instagram content. And because of that niche, closed 10 million in volume just last year. So today we are digging into her lessons learned from being right on the edge of quitting with content creation, plus the nitty gritty of what she did to finally start seeing traction. And stick around to the end for a super smart way to stop just sending out the just sold mailers or just listed mailers that arguably no one really cares about, and start doing something that all of the nosy neighbors will be dying to look at instead. On a different note, I was just thinking the other day about how much I love the Real Estate Rockstars Mastermind and why. Why do I love it so much? And one of the reasons is because when you go to a normal conference, speakers normally get up on the stage and then they disappear. They're like untouchable, which makes their accomplishments seem even more out of reach. But at Rockstars, 95% of the speakers are also attendees. So they come off the stage and then they come back and sit at the table with you and eat with you and hang out before and after hours together. And it turns out they're real people too. So if you feel like that's something that you would be interested in, lock in your slot now because we will sell out. So you can either go to the show notes for the link to register or hit me up on the gram at The Shelby Show and I will send you information and the link as well. And with that, Rockstars, please welcome Alyssa Curnutt. Alyssa, flashback a year ago, and you were spending a ton of time, money, and energy on video, and you were not getting any traction. But it's a year later, and now you've closed 40% of your 10 million in volume from the past 12 months from video. So what changed?
My big thing was twofold. Consistency. Like I just kept at it. I felt like I was being consistent before, but really it was like, I'd post once a week and then I'd post 3 times a week and then I wouldn't post anything the next week. And so it was kind of all over the place. So I think once I really got just focused and made it a priority, was like, this is what I'm doing. This is going to happen. It's in my calendar. It's not moving. And then secondly, when I got really specific on what I was doing, I feel like I was very kind of just like all over the place trying to figure out what worked as, on my content. What do I enjoy producing? I started off doing all the things. I did the pointing. I did no dancing from me, but I did the pointing. I did talking head stuff. I tried to really focus on home tours and I just couldn't find my thing. And when I started laser focusing on hyperlocal content directly to people living in my town, that's when everything changed. And it made it a lot easier too, because I knew who I was going after. I knew what kind of content I needed to produce, and it helped it really take off. And then it helped my clarity on the videos I wanted to produce as well.
Okay, we're going to dig into so much of that. First thing you said though, was you were talking about consistency. What is the rhythm, the consistency in which you posted? Like, what was the commitment that you made? I'm going to do every day. I'm going to do 4 times a day. What was it?
Yeah. So as far as posting to my feed, like reels and things like that, I try to do 2 a week is my bare minimum. I will not post any less than 2 a week. I try to do 3. It's very attainable for me. I am actually in the process right now of hiring an editor because previous to this, everything was done by me. And so that will help me really leverage my time and allow me to create more content. But it took me a while to get to an editor because I'm a control freak. And so I wanted to, I can do it. I don't want to give it up. It's my baby. Until finally I'm like, okay, if I want to take that to the next level and be more consistent, I need some outside help.
Okay. So feed 2 times minimum, aiming for 3. How about stories?
Yeah, stories every day. So my goal is to be in the stories every single day. At least one of those posts or, posts of a story has my face on it. So whether it's me talking to the camera or, get some kind of look, but having my face in my stories every single day is a must for me.
Okay. Going back to the feed quick, and then I'm going to go back to the stories. But the feed you mentioned, 2 times a week, aim for 3. Are those all reels? Are those carousels? Are they still images? What are you doing?
Yeah, 95% reels. That's kind of like my bread and butter. Every once in a while, I'll throw either a photo or carousel in there, but mostly I'm doing nearly 100% of reels.
Okay. And we will dig into that in a second because this is part 1, consistency. Part 2 is the really specific on what you're doing. So we'll dig into what you're doing in those reels in just a second. But in regard to stories, you say every day one has to have your face in it, which leads me to believe that you're doing those more than one a day. Like, do you have an idea? Do you have a goal? Like, I want to do 5 stories, 10 stories. What do you want to do?
I usually, for some reason, stories are just hard for me. To remember, like when you're a busy real estate agent actually, producing, it's kind of hard to remember like, oh, I need to post the thing. So I say I usually do like 3 to 4 a day. I try to do more. And sometimes like when time allows, sometimes I'm sitting in front of the computer all day doing, some back end real estate stuff that would not be entertaining. So in some way I'll like maybe do 2 a day for those because I'm just not doing anything that people really care about or be interesting to them. But I find a way to try to like do something to post, like, whether it's just saying that I'm sitting in front of my computer all day long and here's what it looks like. And it's not all glamorous, showing beautiful homes. Like this is what it takes, but really just showing, making sure that my stories are a source of like social proof, to, people who are wanting to work with me and realize like, oh, she's putting in the work. She's working really hard. This is what she does.
Okay, gotcha. Anything special with the stories? I had someone on recently who was like really big on polls. Like polls are the way. And then I DM every single person who replies to it. Like, what's your jam with stories if you have one?
Yeah, that person's a genius. That's exactly what I do too. It's like, because I used to just post, like, I love the sticker thing. So whether it's, Q&A or polls or anything like that, I probably mostly do polls. And I will respond. I used to just kind of throw them up and it was just like something to do. But when I actually started being really intentional about them and, I try to put something like catchy or funny on, like, instead of like just a yes or no, like say something that kind of goes with my personality on those. And then I follow up with nearly every single person on DM who voted, whether it's just trying to keep the conversation going. Because my goal is to get the people from just watching to DMing and then eventually to, being a buyer or seller in the future. And so getting them into the DMs and conversing with me is key. And so I, whether it's asking them a follow-up question on, oh, why did you vote like that? Or, oh my gosh, I totally agree. And then ask a question to like, just keep the conversation going. It's a great source, one, to like boost the algorithm. And then the next time you post something, it's probably going to be in their feed because Instagram realizes that, they like you and it keeps it going that way. But it also, I think allows my people, like my followers, to remember that I'm just a human being who's a real estate agent and helps allow me to be more relatable and approachable.
Totally agree with all of that. And so I am who you're talking about in the beginning when you're like, well, I used to post sometimes and a couple weeks go by and then I'd go through it. Like I'd do like little sprints and like, so that's very much how I've been. Terribly so. But when I'm in my sprints and I'm doing the things and I'm posting the stories and I'm like engaging with people, it is incredibly time consuming. Like I love it, engaging with people and like chatting and all of those things. But you said in the beginning, like when you're a producing real estate agent, or if you're building an actual business behind the scenes, it feels like you need an entire separate one of you in order to really maintain all of the online relationships too. And then the other thing is like when you're on your phone, and that's, I was going to ask you too, if you like do all the DM replies on your computer or your phone. But like for me, I'm computer girl all the way because the phone, like actually I feel it drain my energy from my soul. It's this whole weird thing. And so that's what I was going to say. Like if you do it on your phone and you're like on your phone all day and it just makes your brain spin. Do you know what I'm talking about? Like, how do you overcome this?
100%. No, 100%. And it's a constant battle, right? It's like especially when Instagram's such a lead pillar of my business. Social media is hard in general not to get sucked into it. And then when you add to it that it's something that you're doing for your business, it just adds a whole other layer. I try to be super intentional with boundaries. As a mom of 2 young girls, I I also know that they're always watching. It took one comment from my daughter about 6 months ago where she's like, "You're always on your phone," or "Here, mommy, here's your phone because you always have it with you." And I was like, "Ooh, I need to set some more boundaries and step away from this." So now I have certain time blocks in my day where like I don't touch my phone. I put it down. I have it on do not disturb, and I sometimes like just put it in another room, just to, like not mess with it. And then I usually at night, we'll go through, like if I had a poll that day, I'll go through like that night and respond to everybody so that I'm not doing it like throughout the day. It just kind of it's helped me if I just do it in a block chunk, just to like bust it all out. And okay, I'm gonna take 30 minutes to respond to everybody and go from there rather than just like doing it throughout my day. Because you're right, it can be it's so time consuming. And so I think just being super intentional is really, really key.
Yeah. I do that really well with my email. I mean, it's the same concept, work on do not disturb, face down, phones out of the room, or, only check your email in the morning, once in the middle of the day, afternoon, because it's with Instagram, with social media, with email, with literally anything, you can spend all day reacting if you allow yourself. And then the everyday will end and you'll be like, oh my God, I worked all day and I still got nothing done.
Yes. What did I do today? It's like, I know I was busy, but what did I do? Yeah.
Exactly. Okay. We did the consistency part. Let's shift over to being really specific about what you're doing. You mentioned hyper local content. So could you talk about what you are actually posting on your reels?
Yeah. So, I would say 80% of my content is all content about Spokane. So it's very local centric content, whether that's business highlights or my kind of like thing that has really helped my account grow is what's new, what's going on in Spokane. So whether that's new development going in or new businesses coming, new restaurants opening up, trying to be the first source of information because one, it solidifies me as an expert, in my community, knowing what's going on, what I'm talking about. And then it also creates super shareable content. People are like, oh my gosh, I saw that construction. I was wondering what's going in there, and they want to tell their friends about it. And so those are my best performing things. But, I'd say I do one of those like every other week or so because there's only so many new businesses going on and everything. But that is definitely like, I would say my thing is finding out what's new, what's going on, quote unquote, breaking news, if you will. And I try to do it in a 3-step thing. So when I find out what's going on, I will do a piece about that. When the business opens up, I try to be one of the first in there. I'll go the first week to showcase the business and then follow up, like down the road doing, okay, here's my favorite thing at X, Y, and Z. So I can create several pieces of content with one business focus. So yeah, those are my 2 things. And then of course I have real estate things sprinkled in, because my main goal is not to just be a content creator, but to allow people to remember that I'm a real estate agent. So of course I sprinkle that in, but I'm not trying to hit people over the head with real estate. I'm really trying to hook them in with the local content, make them really care. And then they remember, oh yeah, that one girl I follow is also a real estate agent. When they're wanting to buy or sell a home, they'll then reach out to me.
Dude, my main goal is to not be a content creator, but to be a real estate agent. I wrote that down. That is so good because I feel like so many people get swept away into this world of social media because it's this weird tie where you're like, there's a justification mentally where you're like, oh, I'm doing it to build my brand and bring people in. But then there's also the part that is harder to admit where it's like this ego thing where it's like, you want to be great on social media and have all the followers and like the clout and whatever. And I feel like that can be really easy to get swept away in and lose the connection between what is the goal. The goal is to be a real estate agent. Or if it's not, then, go to a different field.
Exactly. Like you said, those are 2 different jobs, right? It's like a content creator, like people do that, bust their butt, do that full time. And then you also have the real estate agent side of it. And so figuring out a way to mesh the 2. But it is I try to be very intentional about not getting too focused on the content creation and not focus enough on the real estate side.
Yeah. Very cool. Okay. Tips or tricks with these business highlights or what's new? Like, are you reaching out and doing like collabs with the owners, or is it very much like independent research and then you go by and you leave and they don't even know you're there? What does that look like?
Yeah, I've done both. I used to kind of just like when I do business highlights, I have a master list of like my 100 places that I like. And I try not to do just like a business highlight that's just like a business that everyone knows about, either a unique business or a business that offers something different that people don't know about that still creates that share-worthy content. So I did it, like I said, I used to just kind of show up and I'd have these places that I loved and I'd show up, shoot the content, just like let them know like, hey, I'm here. Here's what I'm doing. They didn't really care. But then about, I don't know, 8 to 10 months ago, I started doing ahead of time, would reach out to them and give them a heads up, because then they got invested. And these business owners, they want and need and really, really appreciate the marketing. Like a lot of them, these small businesses, they can't afford the marketing and I don't charge anything for them. So they get really excited about this exposure. And so it creates, so when I reach out to them, sometimes, they'll roll out the red carpet and they're like, oh my gosh, yes, we want you to try this and this and this. And like, make it a whole thing for me, which is awesome. I mean, it's great content and it's easier for me. Sometimes they don't, really respond or care. But if nothing else, like they know I'm in there, then they're probably going to share it. I collab with most of them. It kind of depends on like just what their Instagram is or looks like or what their, demographic kind of is. But for the most part, I do, at a minimum, I'll tag them and stuff and then they'll share it. And then, their client base gets excited and shares it. So I do reach out to them ahead of time, usually mostly to create that kind of buzz around it. And yeah, it's been super helpful.
Yeah. Okay. So it was back in kind of, I guess, the end of last year, the beginning of this year, where I still was like trying to figure out what I wanted to do with my life. I have figured it out now, by the way, which is very exciting. And I don't think I've like announced it on this podcast. So I will, like, coming soon, listeners. But a couple months ago when I was still trying to figure out what I wanted to do with my life, and I was in the phase where like, oh, maybe I'll do coaching. And I was going to go to my gym, my local gym, and record, a bunch of B-roll, but I didn't want it to just be like dark, because the gym's kind of dark. And so like I hit up, a couple companies, videographers, and being like, hey, I want to do this. But then I reached out to the gym and was like, hey, like thinking they'd be thrilled. I was like, hey, I want to shoot some content in your gym. Like, is that okay? I want to bring in like a videographer. It will not be intrusive to the other gym members. Like this whole thing, I was like, I'm going to basically do free marketing for you. And they like ignored me. Then they were like, I don't really think that that's a good idea. And like, it's so weird to me because exactly what you said in the beginning, when they are happy, it's like, it's free marketing. And if you look at, the opportunity to do collabs or share and tap into someone else's sphere, I'm like, why would you ever say no? I feel like 100%. It's such a good opportunity.
Yeah. Yeah. I haven't really run into that yet. Usually they're super jacked. They're just so excited. Yeah.
Yeah. They should be.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Any other tips or tricks before we're not going to talk about like the like technical filming, recording stuff, because we'll get to that in just a little bit, but any other tips on the content idea itself?
Yeah. A tip or a tactic I would say is like, just create a master list. Like the question I get from a lot of people is like, how do you come up with these ideas? Or like, how do you know what businesses are going in and where they're going in? So I have to, like I said, I have a master list. And now that I know that this is my thing, I just have a list of like, I started off with my favorite places that I would love to feature and then dug into, now it's like, I'm always looking. So like if I hear about a new business or, it's gotten to the point where like people will share things with me where they will say, oh my gosh, I just had this place, you need to try it. And so I'll put it on my list to try. I just create a master list because then when I'm going to create content or I know I'm going to have a shoot day, I can just go to my list and kind of like, okay, I'm going to do these 4 business highlights today. And it's not like constantly having to like reinvent the wheel or come up with things. So I would say a good helpful thing for me is to just have a master list of a ton of different ideas. And then when you're specifically looking for this, you'll start seeing content everywhere. Like you'll start everywhere you're driving. Every time I drive by and I see like construction going on, I immediately like will stop and like either I will just be really nosy and just like start asking casual questions if I see like construction workers or something, or I will go pull permits. That's like the main way that I get my information is it'll explicitly say what's going in there and they're putting in, like electrical or plumbing or whatever it is. And then just start getting the information that way. So you'll start seeing content everywhere. And then just keep kind of like a master list of things going in and things that you hear about.
And that led really well into like the next phase that I wanted to take this. Because you've mentioned calendar a couple times. You mentioned when it's on the calendar to go shoot, or when it's on my calendar, I'm going to do it. So I would love a breakdown of like what your calendar looks like in regard to this. Like, how long does it take to do the planning phase and is that on your calendar for research? And then how often, like how long do you time block for recording? How long is editing after the fact, et cetera?
It's funny you ask that, because calendaring is with my coach. Like, it's something we're working on, because I'm just kind of, I feel like calendaring is kind of hard for a lot of real estate agents. And so it's something that is very like new. I've always been a fan of my calendar, but I haven't been like time blocking well, up until last couple months. And now it's vital for me, because not only do I see it in my calendar, but if something pops up, like I'm not deleting it, I'm making it like, it's just moving, whether it's in my day or to the next day, but I'm refusing to like delete things off my calendar. And that helps with the consistency and helps make it more a thing and makes it happen. And so I would say, as far as time, I'll block out, like, now that I have this master list, I don't really have to block out research a ton, but every 2 weeks or so, I have like an hour block just to like, I have a bunch of sources, like whether it's the permit site for the county or certain like newspapers or magazines in town, that I'll just check to kind of see what is going on, what new things might be intriguing to me that I could add to my master list, or be like, oh my gosh, that's opening next week. I need to make sure I put it on my calendar to get in there. So say every 2 weeks, I spend like an hour just doing the planning part of it. And then I try to do, I block record. So I know that like, okay, I'm going to spend, 5 hours on Monday, and I'm going to shoot like 5 different businesses. Like I try to be very purposeful with my time, because when I would do one at a time, it was eating just so much time. So when I just get in like recording mode, I just can go out there and record the video, know that I'm going to be on for like 5 hours and I'm drained afterwards. So I'm not going to go back and edit after that. I'm going to take a break. But I think just segmenting my time has been huge. And I try to do shoots maybe every 2 to 3 weeks is what I'll do for the local content. And then editing, up until like now, I'm in the process right now of hiring an editor, but up until now, it's like 100% been me, other than my listing videos that I have videographer for. And so I then will do similar to what I do with shooting. I will just get in like edit mode and put it in. I can't do like 5 at a time, because the editing's it can be more draining than I think shooting video and being on for. So I will do usually like 2 or 3 at a time, and take like 3 hours or so and block it in my calendar for editing. And then I'll have, 3 to 4 videos just sitting in the can ready for me to post over the next couple weeks.
And in my pre-show stalking, one of the things I was noticing with your editing, it's not like normal real estate agent video. Like, it is edited in a way that is so fun to watch and so creative, and the amount of jumps and the way that you zoom out and zoom in to like change scenes. I'm like wildly impressed with your editing skills.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. Are you doing it on CapCut? What are you doing it on?
So it's called Video Shop. So I get that, question a lot, and CapCut, they all do the same thing, right? They're all just editing things. It's not like I'm a raving fan of Video Shop. I just have used it now for 3 years, and it's fine. And so I just use it. But I've heard people who are really, really good fans of CapCut as well. I think they're all quite similar, but yeah, I use Video Shop.
And listeners, you really should go and check out her page. It's Alyssa Curnutt, and that's Curnutt for the gram. You'll see exactly what I'm talking about in regard to her video editing. It is dope.
Oh, thank you. That's my thing too. Is like, I want to keep people's engagement. So like, I try to keep the clips like super fast, like 2 seconds max, and just like keep really like high paced energy, because that's my personality in general. I kind of try to be like, I don't know, up, you know what I mean? Like energetic for people. It's like make people engaged. Yeah. And so I think that I try to do my editing style similar, where it's like fast paced, fun, because people lose your attention really, really fast. And so, my goal is just to keep people's attention throughout it and keep the video moving.
Yeah. I would be nervous too if I were you about finding an editor. Just because your style is so specific, and it's not like this cookie cutter thing. So one question before I go to how are you finding the editor? How are you doing that process? But where's your master list saved?
I just have a Google Doc.
Okay.
So I just have a Google Doc that I have it broken out into like business highlights. And then, like I said, I try to do something instead of just, saying like, like a Mexican restaurant, I try to say specifically what I want to feature about that one. So maybe they have like a massive cool, they're known for their margaritas or something. Like I'll just say what it is and then what I'm trying to focus in that video to be specific. But yeah, it's just on Google Docs. And then, I have a list. And then I do plan my calendar in terms of looking ahead. So I do like a 30-day ahead of time, looking at what I'll be posting. And then I'll go from that master list and I will put in what videos I'll be posting each week. But yeah, just Google Doc.
Okay, I lied. I'm not ready to go to hiring an editor just yet. With the recording, is it like just you? Do you have an assistant? How are you doing it?
Yeah, it's just me. So it's just me, but there are times when I will need, like, I know, okay, I need a shot of, say I just did a med spa place and they're renowned for their lasering. So I got a laser treatment and obviously I can't be like shooting, me getting the service. So if it's something like that where I need somebody, I literally will just like ask a friend, or I've asked my sister a couple times and been like, hey, I'll buy you dinner and you want to come with me and just help shoot some content. And they love it. And, sometimes I'll, just pay a little bit. But mostly it's just like friends and family who are just along for the ride. I'm in the process of hiring an assistant right now. And part of their job description, it'll be huge. But part of them will be occasionally every like 2 to 3 weeks to go on video shoots with me. But there are several times where it's just me doing all of it.
Okay. And equipment.
My phone. I have a DJI mic, which is the wireless lavs, which are amazing. And then I have a gimbal that I use, but I'll probably only use that like 25% of the time. But yeah, just for like smooth shots.
Yeah, I got a gimbal again when I was like trying to figure out what I wanted to do with my life and I thought I was going a certain direction. And it's so cool. It's awesome. I've used it like, I think once.
Yeah, they kind of have a mind of their own sometimes. But sometimes for certain shots, like I know if I'm going to be like moving, and just helps you get like the really smooth shots.
For sure.
There's a lot of my videos, like you said, are just kind of like run and gun. It's just me and my phone. So I usually don't bring my gimbal, but I do have one that I use occasionally.
What are some of the tools, apps, anything helpful that you have that helps streamline or automate any of the tedious tasks in your world? Do you have any favorites?
That's why I'm needing an assistant and an editor, because I'm so not streamlined right now. It's like everything's in my head and I've been like a sole agent doing my thing. And it finally got to a point where I'm like, I can't do it all. Like I'm going to go crazy. So,
totally. Your honest answer is the best answer. Love it. And that you're working on it.
I mean, it's in the process. I swear, hit me back in a couple months and I'll be like, oh yeah, let me tell you about all the things I'm using. But right now, it's a little bit.
No, that's totally fine. We can talk a little bit maybe afterwards, but I freaking love streamlining. I love creating systems and then like building the machine and then handing it off to a virtual assistant so like that's my jam. And actually I was thinking about it one day, maybe because I like interview people all the time. Maybe we should have like a guest host on and like interview me, because I have ideas and like things I want to share. I don't know why I'm telling you this now. I think more for the listeners. Listeners, if you're like, that sounds like a fun idea. If you want that to happen, if me to be the one day, you slide into my DMs at the Shelby Show and you let me know. And maybe that'll happen. But anyway, Alyssa, back to you.
Let's talk afterwards. I need that in my life. So let's talk ASAP.
Okay, perfect. Something that I want to make sure that we hit on is your tool for the toolkit. Listeners, you know the drill. This is at the Real Estate Rockstars Network.com, where you can go to the toolbox and you can get this tool for free. And Alyssa brought us a dope mailer template. Do you want to you describe?
Yeah. So my thing for direct mail pieces, like people send out, just listed, just sold postcards, it's fine, but I wanted to take it a step further. And so I have this mailer that I send out for when a home goes on the market that I listed. And it just says it's very simple and has a really big QR code on it. And on the top, it says, your neighbor just listed their house, want to see the inside. And then there's a link to the listing video. And then on the backside, it has really brief information and a photo of the house, and that's it. And so then I'll get people who scan the QR code and it takes them to my Instagram page where they can see the listing video. And it's twofold, right? It's a great just listed, just sold. It allows people to actually just like not read it and throw it in the trash. Like they're actually curious because it's different. And then it leads people to my Instagram. And so, I mean, it's just more people in Spokane who see my Instagram who may have been curious about the house, and naturally they're just going to check out my stuff and be like, oh, she has a lot of cool stuff going on in our city, and maybe they'll follow me. So that's kind of the multi-layered approach there.
Dude, it's so clever. And it works so well. Like even just looking at it right now, it's like your neighbor just listed their house, want to see inside. I'm like, yes, I absolutely do. I will scan this QR code.
Yeah. Because honestly, that's what it is, right? Neighbors are just nosy. We're all we see our neighbors, house go for sale, and you want to see what's going on. You want to see the inside of it. So just like get straight to the point and tell people what they want to know. Oh
my God, totally. Okay. A couple nitty gritty questions on this is, so this is in lieu of the just listed. So are you drawing, like, is this everyone in the neighborhood? How many houses? Where are you pulling this list? How are you sending these out? Like, hit me with the things.
Yeah. So, I mean, I'm sure that there's a more, I create it in Canva, and then now I just have the template. So it's really just changing the details and changing the QR code, and that's it. And then I have it printed in Vistaprint, and they mail it out for me and everything. I get the list from my title company, and usually I do 250 door. It depends on the property and what that looks like, but usually I do 250 door in a 250 door radius of the house it's listed.
Okay. The list from the title company, can you elaborate on that?
Yeah. So, I mean, it's super simple. I've used a couple different title companies for it, but I just will reach out to them, and they have like farming lists, and so I just ask them like, hey, I tell them exactly what I want. Like, here's the property address. Can you give me 250 addresses? And now they'd give like a doc within 24 hours of an Excel spreadsheet, of, the people who live there, their names, everything. And now I know like what format Vistaprint needs it in. And so I just tell them, they know exactly what I'm looking for and send it to me. And it's really just uploading.
Oh my God, this is so different than my experiences. So, okay. Yeah. Cause I never deal with the title. So I sold a lot in North Carolina, and it's an attorney state. So is this like in there, are they doing this for free just as a favor to you, or what's in it for them?
Like legally, at least here, I don't know if it's a national thing, but I know in Washington, like they legally have to charge something. So they charge me $1. So, I mean, because they have to charge something. So it's like $1 to get all of it. I think I can get up to like 500 addresses or something like that. But yeah, it's real easy.
Okay. That's awesome. Also, is it full information, like names and phone numbers and addresses? They have a service where you can get phone numbers, and they say it's about, like 50-50 if it's accurate or not, but it's, and email addresses as well. But for what I get, it's just names, addresses. I mean, they can go super deep on like when they bought their home and all that kind of stuff. For this particular mailer and purpose, I don't really care. For farming stuff, it might be a little different, but I just send it to everybody. But yeah, they can get super, super specific. That's super cool. Yeah. Immediately I was like, okay, pulling lists. If they have the phone number, you give it to the virtual assistant who's the caller, and they call them like, hey, invite to open house, or, your neighbor just sold, or if you consider, oh my God, go back. Listeners, if you're into circle prospecting, go back to the episode with Greg McDaniel. It was like August of last year, and the dude is a machine. So take Alyssa's information and Greg's, make a little sandwich with it, and then go off into your, okay, I'm done. That's freaking dope though. Okay. And it's simple.
So easy. Yeah. Yeah. And like I said, once you get the template going, it's easy. It's just switching out that QR code, maybe a photo, and super easy.
So Alyssa, you have so many plans in the next 12 months of integrating leverage into your business, but I'm super curious about like what the future holds. Real estate agent for life, team leader, world domination. What you got?
Yeah, definitely real estate agent for life. The goal with this leverage, like it'll be, I think, really huge in my business, allowing me to buy back my time to do things that only I can do. And in my case, it's a lot around video and content creation and just taking that to the next level. I would like to be posting more like consistently 3 to 4 times a week. And YouTube is high on my list to ideally start in the next like 6 months, and trying to do that on there. But I just feel like video and like I said, just content creation is I really do love doing it. And so it's so up my alley. It's been very lucrative and helpful for my business. And so I think just taking that all to the next level, I don't foresee myself growing like a massive team or anything. Maybe, I don't know, maybe in the next, several years, but maybe an agent or two, keeping it kind of small, but yeah, definitely real estate agent for life.
Love it. Okay. Wrap up question number 1. What is your favorite book or podcast?
Ooh, let's see. Podcast, mostly because I have 2. I watch for a lot of like marketing stuff and also a lot of just like entertainment, the walkthrough with, Bam and the Broke Agent. I love that podcast, and I love Business School from Sharon Travatza. So I'd say it's very 2 separate things, like very tactical business growth information, and then kind of just like some humor, real estate, what's going on in terms of marketing and stuff have been huge. And then books, I don't know if it's a favorite. It might be a favorite, but I just finished it. Soundtracks by John Acuff, which is very into mindset and how you talk to yourself. And it's a very business centered book about just like I don't know, just limits and not setting limits on your mind, which was really, really helpful.
Yeah, dude, I love that stuff where you like dig into how like small tweaks in your self-talk or even in the words that you say out loud can really, if you just tweak them, the outcome can be positively manipulated into the direction that you want. Like you have more control than you think you do with little tiny corrective tweaks in your world.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay. What events are you going to in the next 12 months?
Ooh, next 12 months. I just got back from Real Estate Video Blueprint in Houston, which was awesome. It was my first speaking engagement. And so that was really fun, I imagine I will go to that next year. But it just happened. So it will be in about 12 months. Mm-hmm. I'm in Tom Ferry coaching. And so probably going to Summon Elite Retreat and then my brokerage conference Rise in Vegas in October.
Girl, I'm going to see you at Tom Ferry Summit this year.
Yeah, you go. Are you in Tom Ferry?
Oh no, I'm not there. I just go to the conference.
Okay.
Coaching program. But cool. I went. So, and I was never like in the Tom Ferry ecosystem. I know like once you're in, you're like super in. But mm-hmm. A couple agents within my community at EXP, within 5 Pillars Nation, are in Tom Ferry coaching, and they're like, "Hey, I got these extra tickets. Like, you should go." And so last year I was like, why not? And I went and had like the best time. Besides at Real Estate Rockstars Mastermind, which is obviously my first favorite real estate event, Tom Ferry Summit was sick. And there's so many people that I talk to on here that are like, I'm going to Tom Ferry, like you. Now I'm adding you to my list of people who I'm going to track down and say hi to.
Heck yeah. No, it's awesome. It's a fun time. It was actually that was my first conference I'd ever been to last year. I'd never been to a conference, went to Summit, and I'm hooked. I love conferences. I'm all about it. So yeah, I'll see you there.
Energy. Yeah, perfect. Okay. How can listeners help you in your business, and where can they find you?
Ooh, I guess first and foremost, thinking of me, if you ever have any referrals to Spokane, Washington, that's always awesome. I am also with Real Brokers. If you're interested in life at Real, it's an awesome place to be. Just reach out to me. Best way to reach out to me is probably via Instagram. And my handle is just at Alyssa Curnutt.
Perfect. And guys, you know the drill. If you want to hang out with me and the owner of the show, we are The Shelby Show and Erin Amuchastegui on the gram. Love to hear from you. And if you have ideas for guests, let me know. I freaking love reaching out to whoever you send, being like, yo, Alyssa recommended you get on the show. Come on. So let me know that and any feedback as per usual. And otherwise, that is all we have for today. So Alyssa, thanks for hanging out.
Hey, thanks so much for having me. This was fun.
Yeah. And Real Estate Rockstars, thanks for listening.